There is a certain kind of man women don't chase loudly. They don't demand him. They don't test him aggressively. They don't even always fight to keep him. But deep inside, they fear losing him more than they ever admit. This fear isn't dramatic. It doesn't show up as panic or desperation. It shows up quietly, in hesitation, in second thoughts, in the way she pauses before pulling away. Because this kind of man doesn't disappear loudly. He leaves calmly, and calm exits stay in a woman's mind far longer than emotional ones. This man is not loud with his value. He doesn't try to prove himself. He doesn't beg to be chosen. He doesn't compete for attention. He knows who he is, and that quiet certainty shapes everything about how he moves through the relationship. Women are not afraid of losing men who chase them. They are not afraid of losing men who over-explain. They are not afraid of losing men who constantly adjust themselves to be liked. Those men feel replaceable, predictable, emotionally available on demand. The man women fear losing is the man who is emotionally steady. He doesn't react impulsively. He doesn't escalate conflict. He doesn't punish with silence or reward with affection. His emotions are regulated, and emotional regulation feels rare in a world full of chaos. Alena Khan's psychological explanation makes this clear. Women don't attach to intensity long-term. They attach to emotional safety paired with strength. This man creates a space where her nervous system can rest, without making her feel bored or superior. He listens without absorbing everything emotionally. He understands without losing himself. He stays present without becoming dependent. And that balance creates respect before it creates desire. This man does not fear walking away. That's the part most women sense instinctively. He is not threatening, he is not cold, but he is not afraid of loss. And when a woman realizes a man won't sacrifice his self-respect to keep her, something shifts in her psychology. She understands. If she leaves, he will survive. If she disrespects him, he will step back. If she plays games, he will disengage. And that awareness creates emotional gravity. Women fear losing men who don't need them to feel whole. Not because women want to be unimportant, but because they want to be chosen, not clung to. This man chooses her every day without depending on her for identity. He has a life outside the relationship, a purpose that doesn't pause for romance, a direction that continues whether she stays or leaves. He includes her in his life. He doesn't build his life around her. That difference matters more than most men realize. When conflict arises, this man doesn't beg for reassurance. He doesn't chase resolution at any cost. He communicates calmly, sets boundaries clearly, and watches actions instead of words. He doesn't fear uncomfortable silence. Silence doesn't scare him. It clarifies things. Women sense this emotional discipline. They may not articulate it, but they feel it. And once they feel it, they understand something important. This man cannot be controlled through emotional withdrawal. That realization is unsettling, because emotional control is how many relationships silently operate. Distance, affection, attention, withdrawal. When those tools stop working, the dynamic changes completely. This man does not reward inconsistency. He doesn't punish it either. He simply disengages from it. And disengagement from a grounded man feels far more final than anger ever could. Women fear losing the man who doesn't argue his worth, who doesn't chase clarity, who doesn't negotiate respect. He observes, decides, and acts accordingly. His presence is calm, but his absence is loud. Alena Khan often emphasizes that women regret losing men who gave them emotional stability without emotional dependence. This man made her feel safe, but never trapped. Seen, but never pedestalized. Desired, but never pressured. He allowed her to be feminine without feeling powerful over him. That's rare. When a woman senses she might lose this man, she doesn't panic immediately. She becomes reflective. She second-guesses impulsive decisions. She slows down before pushing boundaries, because deep down, she knows. Men like this do not come back easily. They don't explode. They don't beg. They don't linger emotionally. They leave cleanly. And clean exits haunt longer than dramatic ones. This man also doesn't rush intimacy. He lets connection build naturally. He allows desire to grow instead of forcing it. He understands timing. Women feel this patience and mistake it for confidence, because it is. He doesn't compete with other men. He doesn't ask who she's talking to. He doesn't stalk attention. He trusts himself more than he fears comparison. That internal security creates external attraction. Women fear losing men who remain kind without becoming weak, who are assertive without becoming controlling, who are emotionally available without becoming needy. This balance triggers something deep in female psychology: respect mixed with desire. And once respect exists, fear of loss follows naturally, because respect tells her this man is not easily replaced. He doesn't rush commitment, but when he commits fully. He doesn't threaten leaving, but when he leaves, he means it. He doesn't use love as leverage. He is consistent. Consistency is what makes women feel safe, but consistency paired with boundaries is what makes women fear losing a man. This man doesn't rescue her from herself. He doesn't absorb her chaos. He supports growth, not avoidance. And that's why losing him feels like losing grounding. Women don't fear losing men who make them feel powerful. They fear losing men who make them feel balanced, because balance is hard to find and easy to take for granted. This is the man women think about months later. Not because he was dramatic, not because he was perfect, but because he didn't break when things became uncertain. He walked away with dignity. He stayed present without attachment. He loved without losing himself. And that combination leaves a permanent emotional imprint. The kind of man every woman fears losing is not the loudest, not the richest, not the most intense, but the most grounded. A man whose presence feels steady, whose absence feels final, and whose self-respect never depended on being chosen. That is the man who stays in her mind long after the relationship ends.